an effort to encourage more people to ride public transportation, CARTA has unveiled an initiative for this month called No Pay May, in which riders can ride any CARTA bus route for free. Today, I talk one-on-one with the chairman of CARTA, Mike Seekings, for this edition of Quintin's Close-Ups. And if you haven't already, subscribe to my YouTube channel and like Quintin's Close-Ups on Facebook. Mike Seekings, welcome back to Quintin's Close-Ups.
It's been a minute. I'm really happy to be back talking about all things transit and whatever else is on your mind. So looking forward to it.
As a matter of fact, Mr. Seekings, as you know, you're the chairman of CARTA, and the Charleston Area Regional Transportation Authority, CARTA, on last week, Thursday, announced the start of a new initiative this month aimed at encouraging new ridership on the city's public transportation service through May, and it's called #NoPayMay. What is the current ridership of CARTA right now?
Well, I was looking at that in anticipation of us talking, and post-pandemic, it's been a little bit slow coming back. We've seen on our core routes, the ridership is back to pre-pandemic days. Some of the other routes a little bit lower. So one of the things that we thought we would do is make it easier to access the buses. Certainly no easier way than make them free. We've learned over the course of time that a no-fare bus is very attractive to people. And so, our ridership has come back in our core ridership routes, but this, I believe, is a really great way to introduce the community or reintroduce the community to what's going on at CARTA today. Let them ride for free for May, no pay May, and learn a little bit about what we're doing.
Now, Mr. Seekings, let me ask you this. Where was the ridership down in those certain route areas?
Well, I'm actually sort of looking at it right now, just to sort of 21 to 22% change in a riders per hour. If you look, like I said, at our core downtown and then in the Rivers Avenue corridor, up. Some of our circulators a little bit down, the Wando circulators, some of the Coleman Boulevard ridership, but nothing dramatic. I mean, it's coming back, it's building back up, and you'd expect that, right? This area has grown over the course of the last 5 years. People are getting out more, so with all of those things, you'd expect to see our ridership numbers back. So CARTA's in a really good place right now. I mean, we can always do better. We're not perfect, but between coming out of the pandemic, this area growing, us providing services through new and improved buses. The battery electric buses are good. I know you ride them with the internet, with the Wi-Fi on them. Our on-time rates are getting better across the system. We're above 85%. And more things to come with Beach Reach getting back again this summer. So lots of opportunity to get out and learn a little bit if you haven't ridden with CARTA. One of the things I think for public transit, if you haven't ridden it before, it's that fear of the unknown. Get on. Our system is super easy to use. Our drivers are very friendly. And like I said, now, for the next month, our fare boxes are inactive. So it's a great time to go and ride the system and learn a little bit.
Where our new and improved buses will be in this particular region?
Well, so we put them out. We use them on our express routes, on our direct routes. If you take a look out there, we've got 20 plus battery electric buses right now at our shop. By the end of this year, we'll have another 20, which will put us to 40. That's a third of our total system. So you will see the battery electric buses all over our system, and you will see them we'll be replacing our 96 buses, which, as you know, have been around for a long time. Some of them still have 1 million miles or more on them. Wow. So the bus replacement has been really great. I'll tell you, one of the challenges we've had is getting equipment for charging them. Just like with everything else, supply chain issues have been very difficult. So we actually we can't put them all on the road all the time right now, not because we don't want to, not because there's not demand, but because we're still having some equipment issues with getting the charging stations going. But we'll fix that. We met with Proterra the other day, and like I said, these new buses are really great.
Now, how many charging stations are there at the CARTA location?
Well, we have, I think, up and active right now 5, which is plenty. We just need to make sure we have enough, and we're going to need more. And one of the things we're going to look at as we go forward, as we do complete bus replacement with battery electric, is mobile charging. That's a little more expensive and logistically a little bit more difficult. The other thing that I've learned a lot about, and I'm sure people who are listening probably know more than me, but the advance of technology with batteries over the course of the last 5 years has been geometric. It's not been a sort of steady growth. It's been geometric, and batteries continue to get better, which for us means longer life, easier charging. So we think we're in a good place on the battery electric side of things. And like I said, we'll have 40 plus buses with that capability at the end of 2022, which is really remarkable. And I just got to tip my hat to the board and staff. They've worked really hard. I would argue that the CARTA board and CARTA staff is amongst the best, not just in this region, but in the country, in getting public transit to the community. And at the same time, working on low country rapid transit, right? So, boy, lots cooking.
Yeah, but let me ask you this, Mr. Seekins. How much would this mobile charging cost, Carter?
Well, I mean, I don't know the answer to that per charging station. You know, the buses, the battery electric buses, are not cheap. I think they come in, depending on the amenities we put on them, about $650,000 or $700,000 a piece. That comes with charging capabilities. So, you know, if you amortize that over the course of 20 or 40 buses, it's a very large investment.
Now, speaking of, okay, well, actually, let me ask you this. How many buses do you expect to retire this year?
Well, if we get 20 more battery electric buses between now and the end of the year, we will retire the like kind number within a few, plus or minus. So another 15 to 20.
Now, how much money do you have in the budget to purchase more of these battery electric, battery charged, battery powered buses?
Well, it's not necessarily a matter of our annual budget, although that is part and parcel of what we do. We buy many of the things that we buy, including battery electric or other types of buses, with federal grant monies. So we are constantly out there looking for federal grant monies, of which you know there's been a good bit. So when those monies come available, we go out, seek them. We're the largest transit system in South Carolina, so we're pretty well competitively positioned. So a lot of it is done through federal grant dollars and not just straight line budget expenditures.
How much of the federal dollars have you used thus far?
I couldn't tell you to a dollar, but if you do the math, we've got 20 battery electric buses on the road and $650,000 a piece. You know, you're looking at $15 million.
Now, going back obviously to 2021, Mr. Seekins, what were the fare revenues for Carter?
We collect off of our fares about 22% of our annual operating budget of $25 million. I'd have to go back, but clearly during the pandemic, the numbers were significantly down. But we manage our money pretty well. We don't deficit spend. We're balanced on our budget. So we're happy about that. Very happy about that.
Now, going back to the No Pay initiative, which is the first in the system's history, Mr. Seekins, that will actually—
It is the first in the system's history.
Yes, sir. And I know the buses will be, offering services at no cost to riders. How much money will Carter lose from this initiative?
Well, we're not going to lose anything. It's a little bit less revenue for us, about $350,000 in revenues that we are not going to gain directly. But the idea, of course, is to look and think long term, is to bring our system to people who are out there. And if one of the factors in them not being able to ride with us is fare, let's get them on there for a month so they can see what we're doing. And again, to give back to our ridership, our loyal riders. So it's an investment in our future. It can be looked at as a marketing endeavor, which it is, but it's also an endeavor into the community, investing back in a way that directly benefits those who, by the way, we're a federal and other grant monies driven system. Those monies come from somewhere, and it's from the people who live and work in, among other places, Charleston County. So we are really giving a direct benefit back from monies that we receive in our coffers. So good investment in our riders, good investment in the future. We think that this will ultimately be a very positive thing for the number of people we see riding long term.
But where is Carter getting the money to make up this from?
Well, it's out of our budget. We have the budget to do it. We are ready to go.
Okay. Now, obviously, the program started yesterday, and I saw, one of the buses running on Savannah Highway doing my run yesterday, and I know it actually runs due May 31st. How many customers rode the bus on yesterday as a result of no pay?
Well, we're talking here on Monday morning at about o'clock. So, hang on, I'll get you those numbers, but I do not know. I have not asked yet. I did not ride yesterday. We'll be able to give you a pretty good indication after a week what those numbers look like. But I will just tell you,
yes, sir.
Anecdotally, we know that when you take fares away and take that away as an impediment, ridership goes up. There's no better example than you'll remember the 20. Remember what we did with the 20 when the Piggly Wiggly site shut down and we wanted to get people to the Food Lion? We made the 20 fare free. It still is today. And the ridership on that route has gone up very significantly. So I'm confident. Give us a little bit more than 24 hours to scrub those numbers, but we'll get them to you.
Now, how much ridership do you think will go up because of this?
Well, good question. We think it's a good investment. So obviously, we believe that it will be not just short but long term. But again, we'll have to wait and see what those numbers look like. And we have that capability.
Yes, sir. And you said this quote, with mask mandates lifting and our world increasingly getting back to normal, we're making it easier than ever for folks throughout the region to come and check out everything that CARTA has to offer. Any COVID cases on CARTA since the mask mandate has been lifted?
So none that we know of, certainly not within our ridership. By the way, we encourage people to wear masks, particularly if you want, that makes you comfortable. We offer masks on our buses still to this day. So, the federal mandate has been lifted, but we encourage people to ride healthily. If you're not feeling well, please stay home. But if you feel good, come along. If you need a mask, we'll give one to you. But we know of no COVID cases that are the result of someone riding on the CARTA system since the mask mandate was lifted.
Now that the mask mandate has been lifted, Mr. Seekins, what safety mechanism do you have in place to protect your drivers?
Well, we still are separating them, as you know, when you get on the bus, and we still are making sure that those buses are cleaned every single day. So we've had a really great run over the course of COVID. I don't know the absolute numbers of drivers who got COVID over the course of the last 2 years, but compared to the general population, it was significantly lower. So, and no case that we know of that was contracted as a result of driving. So our drivers are in a good place.
Now, how low was that rate before, obviously, this month here?
Low, super low.
How low?
I couldn't tell you on miles per passenger driven, but an insignificant percentage number. I mean, COVID contraction on CARTA buses has not been, nor will it be, an issue.
Now, is this the right time, Mr. Seekins, for this initiative, given that COVID is still going on and you actually have a lot of driver openings?
It's absolutely the right time. I mean, there's never a better time, I think. Here we are, sort of coming on the backside. Charleston is bustling and booming, coming back to life in a big way. People need to get around, whether it's going to work, going to school, going to shop, going to the doctor, and introducing the system back up to our community is a really good thing. And just, I mean, it should not be lost on those out there that when we brought this up to the board, a board that's made up of 18 very independent thinkers from around the community, the vote on this was unanimous. And those are elected officials from all over the region, and it was enthusiastic. So yeah, this is a very good time for this. Would love to do it more. We'll just have to see how our budgets go. But this month, the month of May, no pay May, it's a positive thing. Get on the bus, ride it, leave the money in your pocket, and enjoy it.
What is the current budget for CARTA?
Our current annual budget, about $23 million a year.
Now, how many drivers do you currently need, sir?
I don't know the answer to that. As you know, with CARTA, we contract with Transdev. It's an independent company that handles all our operations. And you would have to ask the general manager of Transdev where we are with drivers, but our buses are out there. They're running on schedule, and we're running a full complement.
Now, how many drivers do you all actually have?
Well, I think I just told you that. You'd have to ask Transdev. I don't know exactly how many are on the payroll at Transdev. We contract with them on an hourly basis. They provide a service back to us, and it's them who manages the workforce and the fleet. So again, actually how many drivers are on the payroll, I could not tell you. But right now, I suspect, like anything else, it's a challenge to have people available. But Transdev has been doing actually a very good job of it.
Now, before COVID, Mr. Seekins, how many drivers did you all actually have in total?
Again, you're asking the same question. That would be a really great question to ask Transdev. The fleet driver operations are left to them, and they operate those buses based on the demand that we contract for through CARTA, and then they staff up drivers based on that demand.
Now,
and they need it.
Oh, yeah. And how are you actually rewarding bus drivers for their work and loyalty without breaking the bank for CARTA?
Again, we contract with Transdev and pay them an hourly rate. They then manage all issues of employment, including salaries of the drivers. We have no say in that whatsoever.
Okay. Well, let me ask you this. What are the demographics for the typical CARTA driver?
Again, the employment rates, the employment statistics, the experience of the employees, we have access to all that, but we are not the hiring entity for our driver system. We are the contracting entity that is, we get a package deal from TransDev on an hourly basis, and that's how we work. Clearly, we interact with our drivers and we interact with management at TransDev. We want to make sure that all is going well. And as far as I can tell you today, it is.
Okay. Well, let me ask you something that you definitely know about. To accommodate more people that are coming to the Charleston area and more jobs obviously coming behind those people, Carter's annual service is expected to grow by how much service hours and say by 2040?
Well, I couldn't tell you that. I mean, we run, as you know, on an hourly basis on all our routes, some at 15-minute head times, some at 30-minute head times. We are always looking to expand that service based on our budgeting and our demand. I suspect by 2040, which is a long way out, and Low Country Rapid Transit will be up and running and will have been up and running for over a decade at that point, that the entire look of the system, the demands on the system, and the budget of the system will grow. If we're right about that, we're in the throes right now of putting together the Low Country Rapid Transit program and the funding for it, and we're partnering with the Federal Transit Administration. The Federal Transit Administration has seen fit so far to move this forward, and one of the things that they look at is ridership potential. And for Low Country Rapid Transit, if you're going to invest $600 million plus or minus in that system, you want to make sure through all the modeling and all the studies that there is demand for it, and there is. We are waiting any day now to hear back from FTA to take the project to the next level, which is go from 30% engineering and design to 100%. And that'll be an indication that we are now officially and fully partnered with the FTA in moving this project forward. So that's your indication, and that's what will tell you that we're going to grow in this region, that transit will grow, and that we will look, once the spine of Low Country Rapid Transit is in place, how we run the rest of the system to get to interact with it and to supplement it going forward. But again, at post-pandemic, ridership numbers coming back. Talk to me in 5 years. I suspect in 5 years we will see a fairly sizable increase in our ridership across the system.
Okay, what is the demand for ridership in Charleston County right now?
It's high in certain places. Clearly downtown, if you look at the dash routes, they run. I mean, I'm looking right here just on our last report. King Street, Citadel, we're riding 15, 17 an hour. The Medical University Shuttle at 17 to 20 an hour. Wow. Meeting Street and King Street dashes 24 to 25 an hour. So Rivers Avenue, 5, 15, 16 an hour. So the demand in those core routes is terrific, and it's up from a year ago.
Now, let me ask you this.
By the way, the Aquarium CFC Dash from a year ago, the ridership was up 246% year to date. So that's college. But, if you go out there and you ride the system, which I know you do, you will notice that there is increased ridership, much more increased today than there was even 6 months ago.
Well, let me ask you this. How many number of jobs are within one and a fourth mile walk to a transit stop?
A lot is an answer. Is the answer to that. I mean, I'd have to go back and look, but along the entire system, there's a number of jobs. Just thinking where I'm sitting right now outside my window, the Medical University, the College of Charleston, all of downtown, all the hospitality industry, all of that's within much less than a mile's walk. I mean, that's within a few hundred yards walk. So, and as you go up into the North Charleston area and as it grows, I mean, there are a number of employment centers. The Medical University in and of itself is 30,000.
Okay, well, what percentage of households in low income census tracks within a 1 mile walk of a transit stop?
I have no idea. I mean, I have to go back and look at the census, the new census numbers. But as we implement Low Country Rapid Transit, it would be a very, I suspect, an educated guess, a very significant percentage of the population of Charleston County is within a reasonable distance of a transit stop. Not everybody, but a good percentage of it. I mean, obviously, where we run our buses is through the population spines.
And let me dive deeper on that, actually. What's the population within 1 mile of stops with frequent service?
Well, again, I mean, the population of Charleston County is upwards of 400,000 people. A good percentage of that 400,000 lives within the service area that we provide.
And speaking of service, Mr. Seekings, how many accidents per mile have occurred in 2021 with CARTA buses?
So let's have a look here. I wasn't sure you're going to ask me that, but I think I actually saw a number on that not too long ago. We had two accidents, two.
Now,
So,
which is good news for you all.
very good news for us.
Yes,
To see we're out there in traffic many hours a day.
Absolutely. And let me go back to demographics. What demographic changes are you and your team looking at right now?
Well, we, like everybody else in the community, are looking at demographic changes in terms of population centers, the makeup of the population, the needs of the population, and the way that public transit will interact into the growth of this region. I mean, we can't pave our way out of the challenges that we've got coming forward. Employers know that. One of the things that we've looked at and will continue to look at through the Low Country Rapid Transit process is transit-oriented development, building areas of live, work, play. North Charleston has adopted an overlay zone already, and that whole corridor, particularly the Rivers Avenue corridor, is ripe for some really smart, thoughtful development that will put affordability in housing, accessibility to housing, accessibility to employment centers, accessibility to food, which is a challenge for a lot of people, accessibility to healthcare. All of that comes with building a full, robust transit system, which is what we are endeavoring to do here in CARTA. And, we've come a long way. We've got a long way to go. But you're going to see, I think, huge changes along the corridors from King Street Extension, up through Rivers Avenue, into the 52 corridor. That is going to be a land of great change, but not a change that's bad for a community that changes and makes it divided. It'll be a change that brings communities together because we'll have density and we'll have thought it out. And all the jurisdictions, I think, are very enthusiastically partnering in that endeavor.
Councilman Mike Seekings, thank you so much for your time. And again, welcome back to Quintin's Close-Ups.
Thanks. I look forward to talking about lots of other issues that are out there. But in the meantime, I just might end by saying it's no pay May. The whole idea here is to get people on the bus and learn about their system, meet their drivers, and understand that we are a very friendly, comfortable way to get around the Low Country. So we'll see you on a CARTA bus.
There you go.
All right. Thanks.
Thank you.